How can we look at dementia and not see loss? Well, we can focus a little bit on what's still possible. In other words, if all we're seeing is what a person can't do, well, we can't use what somebody can't do to fill the empty space. What we can do is figure out what's still possible. And by supporting someone in a way that allows them to use what is possible and filling in the space with what isn't possible, suddenly we can see something beautiful in that moment. Now, it's not what it used to be. I'm not saying it is, and you may still miss them horribly. But if that's the case, I need you to think about stepping away until your grief passes so that you can be present and appreciate the person who's still there, because they are still there, but they're different. And so the system of helping someone live with dementia until they are no longer living is called the gem state model. And that's a different model than global deterioration, which is the other model that's out there. The problem with global deterioration is it focuses on what's missing. And it doesn't talk about, well, but what do I do? How do I support? And so this GEMS model sees individuals as unique and precious, and with the right setting and the right care, they shine, including us, as a matter of fact, because we're being changed by the condition. And we may have different moments when our brains work really well, or maybe when they don't. And if you don't go to sleep every night, that's not a good thing. And when you're asleep, you're in what we would consider a pearl state. In other words, you're very inside yourself, repairing, healing. But let me just go over what the gem states are all about. We have sapphire, diamond, emerald, amber, ruby, and pearl. Now, do any of those sound awful, or do they all sound different? Sapphire, true blue. Your brain is as clear and sharp and supportive as it's ever been. Diamond, clear, sharp, but a little rigid. Lots of facets, but it's hard sometimes to get things in, and it's also sometimes hard to get things out. I can be absolutely beautiful, but I can also cut. I could feel trapped, or I could feel the center of attention. And it all depends on the moment. Ooh, speaking of that, emerald. When we're in an emerald state, it's pretty clear things are different. I'm not still clear and sharp. I'm green and on the go. And in a stoplight sequence, when you're on the go, you're going. Now, you may get stuck in a cycle and you keep repeating the cycle over and over. This could be where I talk about something repeatedly, or where I do something over and over, or instead I might skip ahead and miss steps, but I think I'm doing it the way I have always done it. In a true emerald, there's always a flaw. That's how you know it's a true emerald. The problem I'm having is I may not know that I'm flawed. I think I'm fine. I'm just going. And I may be going to another place, another time. I may be going on to another activity and missing pieces and parts, or I may be doing the same one over and over. I need a good friend. I don't need a boss. Thank you very much. If you're going to support me. Now we have that amber state. Now, in an amber state, amber is an interesting gem in that it's not actually a mineral. It's sap that comes from a tree. Something gets stuck in the sap. More sap comes over top and hardens up. But what we have is someone who's caught in a moment of time. It's all about the sensory experience of being alive. What does it feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What does it taste like? How does it move? In other words, sensory need, sensory intolerance. And when we think about that golden yellow light in a stoplight sequence, the yellow light, caution, I have none. But I also want to recognize, because I don't have caution, that doesn't mean I don't have curiosity. The person who's going to be needing to be super cautious is you. You've got to be careful that you don't say something or do something that makes it worse. Because frankly, I'm not doing what I'm doing to cause trouble. I'm doing what I'm doing because I'm unique, I'm special, I'm interested, or I'm disinterested. Amber can be a real challenge because it's all about a sensory experience, not about tasks as we've known them. Now, when we reach that ruby state, ruby, red, stoplight, fine skilled stuff, fine skilled movements, vision, processing, chewing, eyesight, the ability to get your body to do exactly what you want it to get your fingers to do what you want them to, that's not so possible. I still have a lot of strength. I'm just lacking a lot of skill of speech, skill of movement, skill of sight, skill of processing. That means that when I'm stuck and I can't get going, there's going to be a slow transition time because putting things into gear requires skill, and I'm struggling with that. If, however, I'm going, it'll take a slow transition to get me to stop because going from moving to not moving requires skill, changing positions in space. So this is that situation where we struggle sometimes because we're trying to use what we've used before to get what we've got to happen. And it's just not working because they're lacking skill. And the hard news is, so are we. So the last gem state to mention is that pearl state. And this is where the person is actually inside themselves. Think of an oyster shell and how ugly the oyster shell may look from the outside, but how amazing that pearl is inside. So this is that space and time where the person doesn't seem to be present in the world outside, where they're really going away from us. And they're ruled by reflexes. That oyster shell is ruled by reflexes. And we've got to be thoughtful and careful in how we provide support and care. The body is actually creating tension into a forward movement, into a closed down position, because the part of my brain that allows my body to relax and open up and move freely is no longer available. It means in that moment that I am transitioning out of this body and onward. It may take a long time. It may take only a short time. What's really important is you're recognizing I've switched. I'm now in a pearl state. So this gem state model is a way of looking at the person as being present, but different. It's also a way of looking at ourselves and our support and recognizing if we want this to go well, we've got to change because they're changing. And it can happen in a moment, and it can happen over time, and it will. So look at this model and go, maybe this is a different way of seeing dementia. Maybe this is a way that I can wrap my head around this. Maybe this is a way I can still find the person I love. And maybe I need to spend just a little time so I can find them in this moment. And maybe I can be present. Maybe I can't. Maybe I need a break. So GEMS, it's a way of seeing dementia as still having something that's amazing in front of you and not just seeing what's not there anymore.